If you've been looking for a budget 4K dashcam, you've probably noticed that there are a ton of options out there that promise pretty much the same thing. We get 4K recording, a rear camera, Wi-Fi, GPS, parking mode, and an app, all without spending several $100s. But once we actually put these cameras on the windshield and start using them, the differences become a lot easier to notice. So today we're comparing two budget 4K dual-channel dashcams that caught our attention, the TORVO TD3 and the GKU D600 Pro Max. Both give us 4K front recording and 1080p rear recording, both have Wi-Fi and GPS, and both are designed to give us a lot of features without getting into the premium dashcam price range. So let's put these two head-to-head and see which one makes more sense. Starting with the price, this is probably the biggest difference between these two cameras. The GKU D600 Pro Max costs around $140. The TORVO TD3, on the other hand, comes in around the $99 range based on what we tested, and it also included a 64GB memory card in the box. When we got the GKU, it did not include an SD card, so we had to provide our own. It does look like GKU may now be including a memory card with some packages, so that's something worth checking when buying. But for our original testing, the TORVO definitely had the advantage when it came to getting everything we needed right out of the box. The TORVO TD3 uses a pretty traditional dashcam design, with a 3.2-inch IPS LCD on the back. We can use that screen to see the front camera, switch over to the rear view, or show both cameras at the same time. The interface is also pretty straightforward, and we like that most of the important settings were easy to find directly from the camera. The GKU D600 Pro Max has a slightly more modern-looking design and a 3-inch IPS display. It also gives us both suction and adhesive mounting options, so we can choose between a more permanent installation or something that's easier to move between vehicles. Installation itself is basically the same on both. We mount the front camera behind the rearview mirror, tuck the cable into the headliner, and then route the rear camera cable through the trim toward the back window. Nothing particularly complicated here, and once everything is tucked away, both setups look pretty clean. Now, video quality is where we really start to see what we're paying for. Both cameras record in 4K from the front and 1080p from the rear, so at least on paper, they're very close. The TORVO TD3 records the front camera at 4K 30fps and uses WDR to help balance bright and dark areas. During the day, the footage looks sharp, colors are natural, and we can make out license plates, road signs, and other important details from a reasonable distance. The wide field of view also gives us a good look at the surrounding traffic without making the edges look excessively distorted. The GKU D600 Pro Max also records 4K at 30fps from the front, but it uses a Starvis 2 sensor. That becomes more important once the lighting gets difficult. During normal daytime driving, both cameras give us useful footage, but the GKU has a little more room to work with when we're dealing with shadows, changing light, and nighttime conditions. The TORVO TD3 uses Starlight night vision and WDR, and honestly, for a budget dashcam, the results are pretty solid. Under streetlights, vehicles and license plates remain visible, and the camera does a pretty good job controlling headlights without completely washing out the footage. In really dark areas, there is some noise, but that's something we'd expect at this price. The GKU D600 Pro Max takes things a step further with a Starvis 2 sensor and its enhanced night vision processing. The footage holds on to more detail in low light conditions, while WDR helps balance headlights and brighter areas. So if we're driving at night regularly, especially on darker roads, this is one of the areas where we'd give the GKU the edge. The TORVO TD3 connects through the Vidyor app using 5G Wi-Fi. From there, we can check the live view, browse recordings, change settings, and download clips directly to the phone. The recordings are split into shorter segments, which makes finding a specific moment much easier than going through one giant video file. The GKU D600 Pro Max uses the GKU Go app and supports 5.8 GHz Wi-Fi 6 along with 2.4 GHz connectivity. The faster wireless connection is useful because 4K files can get pretty large, and nobody wants to sit around waiting forever for a clip to transfer. We can preview, replay, download, and save footage without removing the memory card. Both cameras also have built-in GPS, so we get speed and location information with the recordings. That can be useful if we ever need to review footage after an accident or another incident. Both cameras also offer parking monitoring, although we need the appropriate hardwire setup to use the feature properly. The Torvo uses motion detection and the G sensor to wake the camera and record when something happens around the vehicle. It can detect movement or an impact and lock the important footage so it doesn't get overwritten. The GKU also gives us 24-hour parking monitoring, along with different parking options. The G sensor can lock footage after an impact, while important recordings can also be protected manually. With both cameras, we found that adjusting the G sensor sensitivity is important. If it's set too high, normal potholes and bumps can trigger unnecessary protected clips and eventually fill up the memory card. One thing we do like about both of these cameras is the use of a supercapacitor instead of a traditional battery. Since a dashcam can sit inside a very hot vehicle, especially during summer, the supercapacitor design makes sense for this type of product and gives us better confidence in long-term reliability. The TORVO TD3 keeps things simple but still gives us plenty of control. We can change between 2K and 4K recording, adjust loop recording duration, enable time-lapse, control audio recording, change G-sensor sensitivity, adjust GPS and date stamps, and even switch between different rear camera viewing modes. There's also a license plate input, speed unit selection, GPS testing, and Wi-Fi controls. The GKU adds some extra convenience with voice control, so we can trigger certain functions without reaching for the camera while driving. It also has the Starvis 2 sensor, faster Wi-Fi 6 connectivity, and a more polished overall feature set. So while the Torvo gives us most of the things we actually need, the GKU adds a few extras that make it feel more premium without actually spending premium money. So after looking at both of them, the choice really comes down to what we value most. If we're trying to spend as little as possible and want a capable 4K dual-channel dashcam, the TORVO TD3 is extremely hard to ignore. At around $99, getting 4K front recording, 1080p rear recording, GPS, Wi-Fi, parking mode, and a 64GB card makes it a very strong value. The GKU D600 Pro Max is the more expensive option at around $149 normally. For that extra money, we're getting the Starvis 2 sensor, better low-light performance, Wi-Fi 6, voice control, and a more refined overall package. And if GKU is now including an SD card with the version you're buying, that also makes the value proposition better than what we got when we tested ours. For pure budget value, we'd still lean toward the TORVO TD3. It gives us the important features, the daytime footage is solid, the rear camera is useful, the app works well, and having the 64GB card included makes the initial setup even easier. But if we can catch the GKU D600 Pro Max at around the $140 sale price, we think it becomes the more interesting option overall. The Starvis 2 sensor gives it an advantage at night. The faster Wi-Fi 6 is genuinely useful when we're moving 4K footage, and the extra features make it feel more like a step toward a premium dashcam without actually spending premium money. So if keeping the cost as low as possible is the priority, go with the TORVO TD3. But if the GKU is on sale for around $140 and we want better night performance and a more complete feature set, that's the one we'd pick.